Hello, it's been a couple of days since I've vlogged. Today is Monday, June 5th. I had to look. You can tell by my eyes being open that I'm slightly more coherent. I am holding the phone in a better position, but you can see there's eyeballs. I'm still a little loopy from the the meds. I still feel pudgy and bloated to all get out, but I am doing better. The packing is coming out a little bit just because of the placement of where everything is and the activity that happens in the rear end. Tomorrow the whole packing, catheter, everything comes out. So I'm a bit nervous about that. And then dilation starts. Very nervous about that. Though I am hoping that will help relieve some of the pressure in my abdomen, easing up on my back so I can get more comfortable and sleep in better positions. And hopefully make it a little easier for me to sit at an angle a bit, and then maybe I can migrate out to the couch, watch some TV, be somewhat more of a human for a while instead of just lay here in severe uncomfort. Overall, most of the pain's been abdominal and such. I do occasionally feel some nerve endings firing off, and occasionally some twitches. The weirdest part with that is because in the PPT that I had, the shaft tissue is used to create parts of the labia minora and what they can from the scrotal area, and the shaft area is utilized to make part of the clitoral hood as well as the labia majora. And just every now and then I'll get the weirdest sensation of a feeling that, like, that should be here, but now it's there. And it's just really hard to mentally reconcile that this is now this, and parts of this are on parts of that. So it's just really awkward to feel and get your head wrapped around. But we'll see how tomorrow goes. Wish me luck. I'm freaking out. That's why I'm nervous, laughing, and being kind of giddy and weird, because I know what's coming tomorrow, and the weight of everything that really takes hold tomorrow kicks in. It's not lovely right now, but it's kind of been easy street because emptying a catheter bag, no big deal. I've done that for other people when I've helped them through different surgeries. Issues getting on and off the toilet, I'm familiar with that from my leg situation in the past. Again, it's nothing I'm going through at the moment other than being unpleasant. It has been outside of my expectations. It's been a little better than my expectations, which makes me really nervous for how bad the next stages are going to get. And that doesn't mean that they're inherently going to be bad. Things aren't just magically going to wake up overnight and provide me with a ton of pain. It's just the responsibility, the care, the maintenance that has to be done and is so critical at this stage is what has me nervous. Because I don't want to have a prolapse. I don't want to have any problems. I'm expecting granulation and things that need to get taken care of, but it's just, I know those are going to be painful. I know there's going to be bleeding, and there's just a lot of different things that have to be looked at, examined regularly in order to make a good final outcome achievable. So that's just what I'm nervous about, and the time frame of doing that while I'm still trying to do a bit of work. Sorry, I was looking at myself in the camera and going, I look terrible. Anyway, that was really it for this update, so we'll see how tomorrow goes, and big changes coming, so bye. Good morning and happy Pride Month. I know this video is going to go up well after Pride Month at the rate I'm going, but that's okay. I wanted to give a bit of an update. It is Wednesday, so it's been 9 days since surgery. Yesterday was the doctor's visit, first follow-up. Had a bit of an issue getting ready in the morning because I just could not get myself cleaned up and ready to go. And then we ran into some traffic on the way, and then Google took us a really random route that ended up being quicker. So We were a bit late, which was really annoying, so I was very stressed out. Then I forgot which floor the office was on, so I had accidentally sent my support person in the wrong place. I had no cell signal. I was kind of panicking because I was really exhausted and tired and overwhelmed. So the nurse was like, "We'll call them, you just chill out," which was good. The doctor's assistant. So after that, she started unwrapping me. Not fun. It was nice to get some of the shrink wrap off. Most of that removal was fine, just like taking a couple band-aids off, not a big deal. The catheter mount was probably the stickiest one to get off. Left some tape residue, some sore spots on the skin, some abrasions and things like that, but not a big deal. I'm surprised because I have ridiculously sensitive skin, so I would have expected a nasty rash and a bunch of other stuff to go on there. And then they started taking the packing out. Oh man, did that not feel good. Now, I don't say this to scare anybody. I'm trying to be very transparent in what we're going through in these surgeries and what we have to mentally be prepared for. And I think it might help people understand and steel themselves with realistic expectations for what's coming. Now, I had realistic expectations. I knew they were going to stuff me full of all sorts of unpleasant things that would have to come out. But you don't know what it's going to feel like until they start ripping it out. It just completely took my breath away. And the assistant was like, "Okay, I need you to breathe. That basic stress relieving breathing deep through your nose, blow it out slowly. Calming breaths." And then she proceeded to just rip my lungs out. It was pretty crazy. And it really didn't last long. It just, in your mind, it seems to take way too long to get the packing out, and everybody's experience will be different, of course. Some people might be way more numb. I felt a good portion of it, and it felt like she was pulling my intestines out, which I knew she wasn't, so I wasn't worried or freaked out, because, I mean, I know she knows what she's doing. It's just, it's hard to resolve the feeling of, you're pulling my intestines out through my new opening, and So that was just kind of an interesting feeling. The only part of that was really bad, because again, that was like taking a Band-Aid off. You could feel bits of the skin coming with it a little bit, just abrasiveness. I mean, the inside lining that they created is taken from my abdomen. It's a moist membrane. So the sponges and the gauze and all that kind of soaks up on that, and then it kind of adheres to the surface of the skin, and she's got to pull that off. You can't go too slow, and you can't go too fast, so that's that. She had to keep telling me to breathe because I was like, again, you're pulling everything out of me. The only really bad part was the last section at the very end where they kind of closed everything off. That part hurt. Didn't last long. It was just like kind of like the really sharpness of a paper cut times about 10. And then it was over. So that wasn't too bad. They leave the catheter in, which is fine. And then we tested dilation, procedural thing, so I was pretty decent at that. Had no issues reaching the back of what they've created. I do expect some shrinkage, so I'm not holding out for any certain depth. None of that really specifically matters to me. I'd like the most I can get. And whatever I can do my best to maintain, I will be happy with. Again, realistic expectations. I know things are going to shrink, tighten up, adjust. It's going to be a long 3 months. But dilation went very well. We had no issues. It was very good to get where I needed to get. After that, they took the catheter. Well, no, they didn't take the catheter out. I'm sorry. They disconnected more of the catheter. And then they pump you full of a bunch of liquid to make sure you can urinate, make sure your bladder has control. It's not to validate anything else other than there's no major problems with the urethra, and really just to say I can release urine, or it's still swollen shut, meaning they're going to have to stick a new catheter in. Thankfully for me, I've had since I really don't like public restrooms, I've got pretty good control over my bladder. It was a terrifying prospect for me to think about being incontinent. I braced myself for it, but thankfully it never happened. So with the pressure and very much ringing in my mind from all their videos of pre-op terror, just giving you the truth of, hey, these are potential problems, ringing in my head, don't push. I just sort of relaxed the muscles, and it's kind of, if you'll excuse my language, it's a mind fuck, because you have to think whatever length you were before is gone. You have to tweak the muscles and the memory and the way you're doing it to relax at a higher angle, and then it flows out. So it did work. Urination was successful and everything was good. They pulled the catheter, cleaned me up, got to put on a pad, of course, because there is bleeding. I will say that while I am bleeding, it is not too bad. I'm assuming most of the blood that comes is around urethral stitches and vaginal canal stitching. Most bleeding happens when I sit on the toilet, and there's a little bit of pushing to try and circulate things, because once that packing came out, my stomach erupted like a volcano of just like a fish tank, I guess, with the air infuser. There's also stitching on the perineum where everything connects, and as that moves, I think that's where some of the other blood comes out as well. But I'm very pleased that the bleeding is minimal thus far. You really cannot take what it looks like now at face value. It's just something you have to deal with for 6 to 9 months before you start seeing the final outcome. There's so much swelling, there's so much to deal with. You just have to put it off in your mind, and that's the only way to cope with it. So anyway, I got out of the hospital, or yeah, she's in a hospital for her office, so I got out of her office and came back home and rested for a little while. Mobility just skyrocketed getting that crap out of me. I felt so much better. I was able to move so much better. You're still not allowed to be up a lot, but oh my God, it was so nice being able to pour my own bowl of cereal and get some popcorn and grab some ice. My support person totally helps with all that. But if I'm up, it just makes me feel like a human to be able to do some things for myself. Most of my vertical time right now is spent on the toilet because I'm trying really hard not to push, and I'm just trying to carefully relax muscles and get to know my muscles. Bladder is still inflamed. Urethra is inflamed. It's not fun. The pee sensation is totally different. And what it is now is probably not what it will end up being. It's just, this is what I've got. So I almost always feel a slight urge to have to pee. The problem is, as soon as I move, that changes. If I sit up, suddenly I don't have to pee anymore. If I go sit on the toilet, but I lean too far forward, I don't have to pee. I lean back, oh, there it is. So there's still just so much swelling and bloating that it's just, you got to be very careful. So right now, I'm trying not to hold it too long because I don't want to damage anything, and I don't want to hurt my kidneys. But I know the muscles that are holding it back are before the surgery, like they're farther up inside. So I'm a little more confident after yesterday. And I'm trying to drink more water to make sure that when that urge hits and it sticks, I know it's time to go pee. That way I can try to help get it out. Dilation is really, really taxing. You have to hold those things in. It hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's not fun. I didn't expect it to be fun. But when you have to be so medical and careful and methodical about it, I'm good at that. It's not something I have a problem with because that's kind of related to my job, but it still takes a mental toll, and it is really physically taxing to do that 3 times a day. Take it slow. It can take a while to get to the right depth. where you then start your timer and go, and then you have to hold and freeze frame, and that timer just, my God, for the first time in the last 20 years of my life, the time just doesn't fly by. It goes slow. I don't have a lot of pain at the moment. I expect that to change. I just, before doing this video, finished my first overnight morning dilation, and it didn't close in as much as I had thought it might, which is good. It still took me a little bit longer to reach maximum depth, but I was very happy to get there. I just have to tell myself mentally a mantra that I started on my second or third session, because the second one was a lot harder than the first. The first was just recently after getting all the packing out, so of course it's still wide. But the final one, I was just like, it's not a race. It's not a race. It's not a race. Just put a tiny bit of pressure and let it slowly move its way through. You've got to relubricate and all that stuff, and it helps for me to keep saying that over and over again in my head till I hit the depth, and then hold it. And then the same thing on taking it out. Don't just pull that sucker out. Nice and slow. Let your body tell you what it's doing. It will come out and you will be fine. So I know this is a longer video from the others. I really just wanted to kind of give that update for my first few dilation sessions. It'll probably be a little bit before I do another one. I've got a doctor's appointment next week, and we'll go from there. Outside of that, it's just status quo, swelling. Got to be a lot more careful with the ice because, oh my God, everything seems to freeze. It's so much faster now. I'm still swollen, so my underwear is a little tight, but I'm doing well, and we'll see you next time. Bye!